Whether you're a nursing student or have been a nurse for years, you're likely facing or have faced the question, do I need to get a BSN? I'm going to answer that question in today's video. Hey guys, my name is Matt Norman. I've been a nurse for over 20 years. I've worked in a variety of settings and roles. I have a master's degree in nursing. I'm also a pastor. My hope with this channel is to use all of that experience to help other nurses excel in their career and their lives. So, do you need a BSN? First, a little history lesson. Many years ago, most nurses were trained in hospital-based diploma programs. Over time, these programs began to fade and were replaced by associate's degree programs. For many years, the vast majority of nurses were associate's degree nurses, or ADNs. When I graduated nursing school, BSN nurses were still pretty rare. In the years since then, there's been a big push for nurses to get advanced degrees, including a bachelor's in nursing or BSN. In fact, many hospitals have gone so far as to require it of their nurses. This is still far from the norm, but is becoming more and more normal every day. So still the question remains, do you need a BSN? To answer that, I'll share my own story. A couple of years ago, I was ready to move on to whatever was next in my career. I didn't know what that was, so I just kind of began to look. What I found, much to my surprise, was that many of the positions I was interested in, they wouldn't even talk to me without a BSN. I even interviewed for a couple, and the deciding factor turned out to be the fact that I did not have a BSN. At this point, I had almost 20 years of experience as a nurse, and I thought that all those years of experience would be more than enough to get me a position, even if I didn't have a BSN. I was wrong. I decided then that I needed to get my BSN. I told my wife that I had to get my BSN, and she said, you know what, as long as you're doing it, may as well go ahead and get your master's. So I did, but that's just another story for another video. So I got my BSN and ended up with the job that I have now. Actually, truth be told, I hadn't completed my BSN, but was working on it when I got this job. I later found out that with the company I work for, without my BSN, I would not have gotten the job today. So here's the reality. There are still many jobs out there that do not require a BSN, but those jobs are becoming more and more scarce. I didn't think I would ever say this, but I can see a day when it will be extremely difficult to get a job without a BSN. Now, some may say that day will never come. However, many would have said the same thing about LPNs in the hospital. Yet today, the vast majority of hospitals don't even hire LPNs. Or if they do, they're for more administrative or clerical type positions. Early in my career, LPNs were very common. But since then, they've been slowly phased out of hospitals and replaced with RNs. With that history, I don't think it's too crazy to say that there will come a day when BSNs, when the same thing will happen, where ADN nurses will be pushed out and replaced with BSN nurses. So back to the big question, do you need to get a BSN? Well, I think there are still enough places hiring ADNs for an aspiring nurse to feel okay getting the associate's degree in nursing. However, I will say that you should pretty quickly consider getting a BSN after that. There will come a point in your career where the lack of a BSN limits your options. If you're already a nurse and you're happy with the job you have, then you have some time. But even then, I would still encourage you to consider getting your BSN. You see, things change. Hospitals change ownership, managers change, policies change, so many things change. The very place you're working at right now that you're happy with may, in a year or two or 10, decide that you have to have that BSN. The other thing is that you may decide that the place you're at is no longer where you want to be. In which case you may find, just like I did, that you do need to get a BSN. So, do you need a BSN? Well, that kind of depends on where you work. If you want to work at a facility that requires it, then obviously you have to get it. However, for most of us, you probably have time. Still, I would encourage everyone to begin looking at it. So finally, do you need a BSN? Maybe. Maybe not yet. But unless you're really close to retirement, there's likely coming a day when you will indeed need it. So I'd encourage you to begin looking into it now. Thanks, guys. If you found this video helpful, I'd ask you to subscribe below, share it with a friend, and if you have a question that you'd like me to answer on this channel, please leave it in the comments or send me a private message if you'd like to keep it confidential. Thanks again.